Podcast where I discuss all things music and how it affects my life. And today is probably one of the most awesome podcast I've done in a while, man. And it's awesome for a lot of reasons. This episode features my dad and my uncle. And it also talks about probably the single greatest inspiration I've had for music since I was a kid. My grandmother. You get to learn a lot about her. You get to learn a lot about them, and you get to learn a lot about what music means to my family and how it connects us all. This was a really, really positive podcast for myself personally, because just so many great stories I heard about my grandmother, and unfortunately, you know, she's no longer with us, but this was a great way to honor her memory as she passed away about 6 years ago, August 19th. So this was just an awesome conversation and a great way to spend some time with my uncle and my dad, who I haven't seen in like 2 years, obviously due to everything that's kind of going on in the world. But as always, guys, if you'd like to reach out to me, check me out on Instagram and Twitter at Podcast of Blue, Facebook at Blue Presents a Podcast, man. Remember, if you guys have any show ideas or want to be a guest on my show, just reach out to me on any of those social media platforms. Just want to say thank you guys for listening to today's episode. And that's pretty much it, man. But before we get started, man, listen to my man, AJ Pelletier, and on the reasons why you should be listening to the Roads We Travel podcast.
My name is AJ Pelletier, and I'm here to talk to you about my podcast, The Roads We've Traveled. It's a bi-weekly podcast where every episode I interview guests about their lives, their upbringings.
My father was, your stereotypical Irish drunk.
Their mental health.
Like serious depression, very bad anxiety. You know, I can look, as a kid, I can see where it showed up.
And whatever else they have going on in their lives. It's a heartfelt show where we share intimate details about our lives, our joys, our struggles, and our passions. And we like to have some laughs along the way, too.
Are you wearing a scarf?
Oh my God!
I love it. I love it. You have no idea how funny that is, AJ.
We all have our own struggles and battles we deal with. My show is to help you out and show you that you are never alone. So why don't you take this journey with us? Subscribe to us and tell a friend. We are available on all major podcast networks, and we're also available on YouTube. So what are you waiting for? Let's hit the road together.
Welcome to Blue Presents a podcast where I discuss all things music and how it affects my life. And today I am joined by my uncle and my father. What's going on, guys?
What up,
How's it going?
It's going, man. So everybody who comes on my show, my first question is, what are your top 5 artists? We'll go with you, Paito.
I'm going to go with artist per se, Gustavo Cerati.
I don't even know who the fuck that is.
Argentinian rock
Okay.
god. You want me to go ahead?
Yeah, man.
But the second one would be Soda Stereo.
Okay.
Which was the band that Gustavo Cerati was in.
Okay.
Before he went solo.
So him as a solo artist, and then him in the band.
And him in the band.
Got you.
All right. Third, that's gonna get tough right now. Because I love all kinds of stuff, bands. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna start with saying Van Halen.
Okay.
Van Halen. Let's stop right there, or up in there. 2 more.
Yeah.
I know you're gonna say the Beatles.
The Beatles, yeah. I was debating. Third was the Beatles, Van Halen, but
interchangeable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beatles and what was the first? The fifth. There's so many bands out there I love, man. There's so many artists, but let me see. I gotta think fast.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Rolling Stones.
Okay. All right. That's not bad. Go ahead, Dad. I already know like one of them already. So
Of course. I mean, I love the Beatles.
okay.
David Bowie. Love
Okay.
David Bowie.
Duh.
Bob Marley.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sublime.
Okay, that was the one I was expecting.
I mean, I can just go on, and I love all kinds of music. I just listen to Sergio Mendes. I love Sergio Mendes. You ever heard of him?
No, that's why I'm like looking at you both with the same confused look.
Google him.
Google him.
Google that shit.
So basically, my show is basically a podcast talking about a journey into music, and we are so lucky that our family has just been surrounded by music. So just kind of talk about you. Like, we'll start with you, Paito, and you kind of tell me like your first experiences with music growing up.
Well, I remember growing up with my mother. She started singing at a very young age. I wasn't there around to see it, of course, but I heard stories. She would sing in parties and all the social gatherings or whatever. But then I was born and then I grew up, and I used to watch her like sing different places and stuff. But my most memorable is the one when she sang on TV.
Okay.
She sang for about a year at this show called Borinquen Canta.
Okay. What's that translate to?
Like Borinquen meaning the other word for Puerto Rico, which is Borinquen sings. And I used to watch. I went to a couple of recordings of that program, and I watched them on TV, and it was awesome. I mean, it was a pretty cool experience. Yeah. So
now, because you're a drummer, so that's kind of where I wanted to focus. Right. Yeah, where I want to focus at. Like, what was your first instinct that you were like, "Hey, I like this thing beating on stuff with a stick"?
Well, actually, one time I was in that time was Channel 4. Where they taped this show where Mom used to sing, and there was the band was already set up, and they were not recording, but I went ahead and I sat on the drum set, and I just started banging that thing, and some tech from the studio came over and says, "Oh, you can't do that. You got to get out of here." I remember that. It was like, okay, but then after that I was like, wait a minute, I can, because I sat down and just. The beat just came naturally, It's like no struggle, no nothing, just like that. I was like, okay, I like this,
All right, Dad.
I tried that.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I tried guitar. I tried drums. Couldn't.
Well, I mean, in no thing because you're my dad, but you're actually a pretty decent singer, and I've heard you sing a couple of songs. So.
My brother, he explained to me how about the drum, that you have to, it's like, it has to be built into you. Because I tried it, and I know you have to, like, your foot got to go one way, and your hands got to go one way. I can't coordinate.
No coordination whatsoever.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, like, in growing up with that, with Grandma doing all her musical stuff, did you guys ever feel like pressured that like you guys had to do music, or did you feel like it was just something cool to watch your mom do and it was be cool to be a part of it?
I don't remember being pressured, but we grew up around the atmosphere, all the time listening to her singing and music and recording and stuff.
And our grandmother too used to sing on church.
Yeah,
all of them. Our aunts and our grandmother always singing on.
So we were always exposed to that. I mean, I don't consider myself a guitar player, but she taught me my first three guitar chords. Okay. And she kind of taught me, but I went with the drums. But I mean, there was a lot of what do you call it? In our family, there was a lot of
talent, ability.
Okay. Yeah. Our uncle Ahmed, he was a conga player, a percussionist, if you want to say, and he played with a few bands back in the day. Salsa bands. and
our,
stuff like
our
that.
cousin Maria also.
Maria, yep.
She's a
Maita.
percussionist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really good.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, growing up and then kind of figuring out where you fit in all of this, what were your first thoughts, like for you, Paito, and kind of like when you finally figured out drums was what you wanted to do? Was it immediately, I want to be in a band, or was it immediately like, I want to do something that involves the drums?
Well, I did. I just like to play, you know. It didn't come as like I want to become a rock star, you know, forever. But you know, eventually, yes, I wanted to play in bands and do stuff and make money doing it, you know. But it's a hard it's hard to do it, you know. You got to really go for it, and nothing can stop you, kind of thing situation, you know. But I mean, right now, I just play because I love to play the drums, you know. I like to play music and all different kinds of music, and I just live for the fun of it. It just satisfies me, you know, just playing drums.
So, okay, so we've kind of established that a lot of our family members have talent or are talented in a way, and they do different things. What was something like you either wish you could have got into, or something you were like, dang, I really think I got a chance at this or something? I don't know, Dad. Go ahead.
When you were born, I was a lead singer in this band. Like a couple of weeks.
Okay.
They were into,
Wow, a couple of weeks.
They were into Christian rock.
Okay.
You ever heard of the band Spiker?
Striper?
Yeah.
Yeah,
sorry,
okay,
I'm
yeah,
sorry, I
Striper.
said it
Yeah,
wrong.
no worries. Yeah, Striper. Yep,
That was,
gotcha.
that was their band.
They were very into that, but my voice wasn't for that.
Okay.
For that kind of music. We used to play in the projects in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
On the building across where we used to live.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my God.
Okay.
So you said only like for a few weeks before
For
I
a
was...
few weeks, and
yeah.
I just didn't... my
couldn't.
voice wasn't for it.
Yeah, yeah. So, like, what was your first experience, like, in a band setting?
The first band that I could call a band was actually a friend of mine. His name is, we used to call him Luigi. He plays guitar.
I remember Luigi.
Yeah, I remember Luigi. And he lived just down the road from us.
Yeah.
And he played a little guitar, and I would... I actually had a makeshift drum set, which was kind of pots and pans and buckets, you know, and stuff like that. I would turn them upside down and stuff like that. And we used to jam like for forever. He had a guitar. He had an amp. I just had a whole bunch of trash, you know. He's just playing on trash and stuff like that. And after that, for a while, when I finally was able to get myself a drum set, a real drum set, I wanted to be in a band, you know, play out, do stuff. Like I said before, it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
Played in a few bands, and nothing, you know, really came out of that. And, you know, but I still play in a few bands, but it's just fun. It's just fun. I just love it. It's all.
Yeah. So, with music being in your life from like the moment go, how do you think that kind of shaped your relationship between you, Grandma? I don't know, whoever wants to go first.
I remember we used to Mom would sing in different venues and stuff and places and stuff. And there was for a while we used to go every Sunday. We used to go to this place, and it was a radio station, and they had this show all afternoon.
We had a name for it.
We had a name for it.
What was it?
Because they played
folk music.
Puerto Rican folk music,
Uh-huh.
and it was mostly Lelolai music. So we used to call it Lelolai. We're going to the Lelolai again, and we were kids.
What was that? What's that mean?
Okay.
Because
when it's improvised music,
Okay.
right? Very much like rap, but in Spanish.
Okay.
So this is music from back in the days that the people used to get together and have a party, and they will sing, and they will, as they will sing, they will gossip about what's going in town, who's sleeping with who's fighting with who, and
Just a whole mess.
and then one guy will get up and start challenging that one guy, and machete will pull out.
Oh my
heads
God.
will roll.
the fuck? Like legit fights breaking out at this
Oh
place?
yeah, because they would start singing to each other, like burning each other. Burning each other,
talking shit,
talking
basically.
shit about each other, and then we get heated up sometimes, and then we get into fights and stuff. Yeah, and
So every time when people will start to sing before they sang whatever rhyme came to their head, they will say le lo lai, le lo lea, le lo lai, le lo le, and then they will start
So
singing.
is that a melody or is that like actually
it's,
something?
It's melody. It's like it's the Spanish music that you listen when you were a kid, and they're playing with guitars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was all improvised. It wasn't something that let's say something that they knew a song and let's sing this song, whatever. No, it was all improvised music.
Okay.
Very much like rap battles.
Okay.
The only thing that
So what was Grandma doing at a place like this? She's not battling nobody.
When I'm telling you right now, we're talking about the 20s, the 30s, whatever.
Yeah.
But this is now, in the civilized world. My mom
this
was
is
singing.
the 70s.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. 70s. But in those old days, you have a party like that, and it was basically like you ever see rap battles. Same thing.
Same thing.
But it was in Spanish, and
it's like you're poor, you're broke, you ain't shit.
Some guy didn't like what exactly. Some guy didn't like what pull out a gun
you said,
or a machete. Yeah. Somebody's hand,
and you did. Yeah. So we used to go. We hated it for a while. We hated to go to this place. Every time my father would say, "We get up dumb early."
Remember, there was a fork on the road.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
There was a fork on the road, and we had what do you call it? We had a station wagon.
Okay.
And we were in the back. And Sunday we used to go for a drive, and if my dad went to the left on the fork, we used to go, oh crap, we're going to the freaking little light.
If we make a right, it was different place.
Right, we were going to grandma's house somewhere in San Juan, whatever.
Yeah. Somewhere better.
And the thing is that we didn't like it was all people singing at this station, and it was just like an open mic station. People just stand up. There was one mic. They will start singing with their guitars, whatever, into this station that.
Yeah.
And they were drunk. Half of them were drunk, so we hated it. We just hated it.
We were kids. It was boring for us at the time.
You wanted to do something fun.
Yeah, we wanted to do something fun, but after a while, and now that she's passed on, we miss that stuff, because we grew up with that, we grew up listening to her music, all these places we used to go, she would sing in front of people. It was great. It was awesome.
So I guess my question is like, how was she received at this type of a place? Because it seems like it's a little bit more different.
She was a celebrity already.
Yeah,
really.
At that time, she was. She was known for a while.
She was well known in town. She was also well known. People used to see her in the street. People knew her, and some of the people from the country, because they didn't understand about having a show recording, and the show used to be on Sunday nights.
Yeah.
So people will see her. I just saw you on TV. These were people from
not
the
realizing
country.
it's pre-recorded and shit.
Okay, yeah. From the country.
It's just like, how did she do that? Is she a witch?
Probably, yeah. Cool. Yeah,
that's
awesome.
Cool. So did it lead to anything special for you guys? Or is there any like kind of special things Grandma got because of being, I guess, if you will, a local celebrity?
Well, actually, yeah. I remember meeting a lot of other people, other artists that actually made it. It became famous because of her. Yeah, Iris Chacon. I met Iris Chacon and her husband. I met Tommy Muñiz, which was a producer. Was a very, very and back in the day, was a very known producer. A lot of people. Actually, the other day, there was a guy who I met when I was a kid, and he actually died like a couple days ago.
Wow.
Lito Peña, who was the band director of that show, that TV show.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of people. I can I don't know, name like 10 people that back in the day was very famous, and everybody would know them. You say, oh, you know so and so. Oh yeah, I know him. He's a singer, producer, director, actor, actress, whatever. So
And remember the host from the show. He became a news anchor in Channel 4.
News anchor. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Guillermo José Torres. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
So yeah.
Cool.
So, Dad, I want you to tell a story that you've told me several times about growing up and a friend of yours inside his house listening to, I think it was Iron Maiden. And you guys...
Luigi's house. And his grandma came in because we were playing Run Through the Hills.
Doña Paca.
Yeah. And she came out and we were playing, we were making lanos, we were jumping on the bed. And she came in with a stick, started beating the crap out of us because we were possessed by the devil.
Now, yeah, so, and I bring that up because, like, definitely I see for you and for you, rock music became a thing. And if you will, the stereotype is Puerto Rican people don't necessarily listen to rock music or metal music like stuff I'm into. So where did that start for you? And how did Grandma feel about you guys listening to rock and roll? Because
Grandma, she just loved music. So she would listen to the same, I mean, she would not sit there, but she would not bother us, listen to any kind of music.
Yeah.
It didn't matter, we always loved, rock music. I guess because we used to listen to my stepdad's Beatles and Rolling Stones records and stuff like that. And, that's how we just started liking rock music.
Yeah, we got into that partly because of him, because we had the influence from Mom, her records. Like she would listen to Sandro, but she had like some weird country stuff too.
Yeah,
in English, which I didn't know.
Yeah,
and Spanish stuff, English stuff, and then my stepdad steps in. He's got Beatles albums, Rolling Stones, all kinds of 60s and 70s stuff, and we used to listen to that stuff. And slowly we kind of moved. We started listening more to that stuff. And then I remember late 70s, I got into disco, Yeah. Disco doesn't suck, okay? and the funny thing is, I was listening to all the stuff that came in the 70s, disco. And then one day, I'm listening to this band, and they were going, I was made for loving you, baby. And it's like, wait a minute. This is a rock band, and they're playing a disco song. So I started listening to them, which just turned out to be Kiss, okay? And that was my turning point from listening to rock to getting into heavier stuff. And as the 80s rolled in, it just went from Kiss to AC/DC, Iron Maiden, Quiet Riot, all these bands are like, whoa, started buying LPs and listening to that stuff, and it was crazy. But I mean, right now I'm into a lot of stuff, I can't pinpoint exactly, but I listen to everything right now.
Dad, for you, like, what did you feel like was that band that kind of like changed some of what you were listening to? Because I know you were listening to like Iron Maiden and stuff like that. Kiss
was like the one that got me really into rock.
Yeah. So what was it about it? Was the aesthetic, or was it the music and the aesthetic together?
The music and the showmanship that they had, all the makeup and all that crap, we used to love that stuff.
Yeah, no, you still see some stuff like that today. And I think like as myself, thinking back to like 1999, when I really kind of dove right into like metal and stuff like that, the way Slipknot looked definitely was something that appealed to me. And then obviously, like with you at the time, you were listening to Linkin Park, and I remember you being the first person I heard, Dad, that was like listening to Linkin Park, and I was just kind of like, I remember we went down to Chinatown and you got me a copy of Hybrid Theory. A very special copy of Hybrid Theory, but I remember you like being that Slipknot, Linkin Park, and then kind of Sublime also, because I remember you gave me the 96 album, self-titled Sublime, and just kind of like, I don't know, just kind of changed shit. And I'll tell you this story. So my mom found out that you gave me that CD, right? And she looked through the CD booklet and was just absolutely appalled about everything in the booklet. But then she looked at me and she saw how happy I was that I got it, and she's just like, you can have it, but just don't sing it in my house. Fast forward a few years later, she bought me Slipknot's second album, Iowa, and the first track on the album is called People Equal Shit. And the look on her face was, people equal what? You better not be singing this some shit in my house, okay? So I say that to ask, was there ever a band that grandma was just like, okay, I'm down with everything, but what the fuck is this?
No, she never.
No, never. She never said anything. I mean, she might have she might have disliked some of the stuff, but she wasn't strict about it. She let us listen to anything we wanted.
But also, the music wasn't as dirty as it is now.
Yeah. Or loud.
Well, or loud. I mean,
but also at the same time, back then, the aesthetic of Kiss was offensive to people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? How they looked.
The worst thing that we used to listen was what is his name? They used to sing the song about 666, the number of the devil. Is like
the number of the beast. Yeah,
that was
Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden.
I think that was the worst thing.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
and we used to have posters of Ozzy Osbourne, with the biting the head of
the bat,
the bat or whatever.
And grandma just never was fazed by it.
No. She'd come in the room and it's all good. So it's just fine. My kids are normal,
So, okay, so we'll transition. We're going to talk a little bit more about grandma. I guess the first thing I want to say is, what was your first memory of like a studio setting or her recording anything, and what that was like just, sitting there and watching your mother work?
Well, I remember she did she recorded an album with someone, but she was just a backup singer.
Yeah, she was a backup
not
singer.
a singer. That was the first time.
It was a Christmas song. This is guy Machuchali. He's like a Benny Hill in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, okay.
He's a comedian. And he also used to do music, but he's
funny stuff.
Yeah, funny stuff, and it was for Christmas. So my mom and her comadre,
Adela Hernandez.
Exactly.
Yeah,
she was also well known in Puerto Rico. They did background for that song. A song about somebody killing a pig, whatever it was.
Oh my God!
Yeah, but it was a Christmas song. Back in Puerto Rico, for Christmas they kill a pig and they roast it and stuff. So it was all about that, but. That was the first time we experienced that first recording, But she did a whole bunch of stuff too, But that was probably the first time.
So I guess my next question is, do you know why grandma was a lot of her like early music, a lot of it was like very religious based? Was that because that's how she grew up, or is that because she felt like that's what she wanted to sing about?
I don't think it was all religious in the beginning, but eventually I feel that she was looking for that like fulfillment, with God or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I remember being Catholic at first, but then we started going to Protestant church for a while, and then we go to another church and stuff like that. So when I was growing up, I was like, okay, I didn't make of anything, but when I grew up, I say, okay, she was trying to find something, and I guess she found it eventually, in what is called the Baha'i faith, and she became a member, and she did all kinds of stuff for the Baha'i faith, and stuff like that. And that was the last thing she did. When she met the Baha'i faith, that's where she stuck. She stuck there, so she stayed there.
Yeah, I remember going to a place with her in Memphis, and it was like a home to somebody who was very affluent. It was a very nice house I've ever been to. And I remember going with her because Julio said, "It's your grandmother, and I'm not going."
Whatever.
That's my other uncle. But yeah, I remember going with her, and I just remember her attention to it and to everything at that time, and I wanted to be respectful because I wouldn't say that I'm not religious. It's just I'm not that religious. So a lot of what I was at the time, I was probably way more less religious than I maybe am now. And I don't even think I'm religious now. I think I'm just into Positive energy. That's what we're going to call it. Positive energy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doing positive stuff.
I can roll with that.
Yeah, exactly. Positive energy. We'll call it that.
Just do good. You'll be fine.
Exactly. And so what do you think about, and I don't want to make this like a super religious question because I'm not here to be like questioning grandma's religion or anything like that. She was a good person always, and anything I can remember about my grandmother, she was good. But I'm thinking, what was it you think about the Baha'i faith that she latched onto so much? Because as I understand, a lot of it is rooted in somewhat of the Middle East, and there's a lot of different things here and there. Do you know more about it than I do? I don't particularly know. Either one of you might be able to tell more about Baha'i.
I think the difference in the Baha'i faith is that it compiles a lot of stuff, and there's not divisions, and because some religions pull to the left, some pull to the right, and all this stuff.
Upside down.
And instead of being united, they segregate and separate and stuff. And I think that's one of the things that she liked, because the Baha'i faith teaches the unity of God. There's one God. Unity of religion. There's only one religion, even though it has different names. It's the same religion, and the unity of mankind, which is one humankind, all of us. No matter if you're white, black, yellow, green, stuff like that. So I think that appealed to her, and she liked it, and she stuck with it.
Yeah, and that's interesting because if you really think about it, a lot of these religions have created a divide depending on where you're at with it. And once again, like I said, I'm not going to be a person who knocks religion. Whatever you believe in is whatever you believe in. As long as you still are a good person and are good to other people, that's the only thing that matters to me. But I just find it interesting that there is this religion that believes in unity where there are all these other religions who claim to believe in unity except underneath XYZ for rules, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of interesting. I never knew that. I just knew, I knew a little bit about it because I remember one time asking grandma about it and she handed me a pamphlet and was like, read.
Read.
So I'll give you that. I'll give her that. So we're going to go a little weird here, and I'm going to do this with tack. So I grew up kind of weird. And for a while, I didn't know certain things about certain parts of my family. And I remember one of the first few trips that I took with you, Dad, in meeting Grandma in Cape Cod, I believe it was like my first memory of acknowledging my grandmother's existence. And I remember the whole time, the only thing I can think about that whole time besides Tahiti complaining about her hair being brushed, was the fact that the whole time and any time I was in the presence of Grandma, she was either humming or full-fledged singing out loud. Was she like that when you guys were growing up, where it was like always, everything in a task or anything like that? She was musical.
Even our dad used to always hum, especially when he was driving. I asked Mom one time, because my dad would just be driving and he'll be like this. We didn't know what the hell the song he would drive. So I asked Mom one time, what is that song about? And she told me, that's the song that he sings when he thinks, he knows what he's doing.
Yep.
It's the song he sings when he thinks he knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. And he thought about it.
No, and it's interesting because it's the same thing for me and my household, where even my wife is like, it's something she's either singing or she's listening to or she's humming. And it's the same thing for me. I feel like even certain tasks, and I'm sure it probably drives my kids annoying, like just annoyed with the fact that I sing. Cause I know when we get in the car, if it's not my wife's like, mean girl pop music is what I like to call it, because this is like,
You're in Britney Spears?
No. This is different stuff. It's a little bit more indie-er than Britney Spears, but it's still in that pop realm. And then, I'm blasting anywhere from hip-hop music to metal music, you know what I'm saying? So I'm sure, I don't know. I think it probably carried from between both generations, or all three generations, if you really think about it.
You have to remember, on our grandmother's, my mom's side, they're Black Hispanic.
Mm-hmm.
So we have, what do you call it, African slave behind us. So they used to sing also when they were out in the field.
Mm-hmm.
Where we came from in my mom's, from Loíza, which is a black town, and not all of it, but it's mostly black.
And if I'm not mistaken, Loíza is where they imported the African slaves when they first started conquering Puerto Rico.
Yeah, they have a big coconut plantations over there.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I do know, and once again, I know this is weird and this has nothing to do with music, but it also brings up the conversation of, I've heard before, like how black Puerto Ricans are.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we are a lot more blacker than people think.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It's a lot of people that they don't understand about. They think Puerto Rico is somewhere in Mexico, but it's a U.S. territory.
Exactly.
And it's it's basically 30% black from Africa.
Yeah.
30%, some of the Tainos that were left, which is the native Indians and the Caribbean Indians, and 30% from Spain. And people from Spain were mixed with the Moors, which are Arabs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a big ass mix right there.
That reminds me of, I can't remember what the comedian's name is. She told a joke where she was talking about how Hispanic races dislike each other. And it was the Dominicans don't like, or the Mexicans don't like the Dominicans because
Dominicans don't like the Haitians.
Okay, yeah.
Puerto Ricans, they say they don't like, the Dominicans.
Well, no, she gave reasons, and I think it was something along the lines of like, Dominicans don't like him because they're too whatever, and then she said all Hispanic races don't like the Puerto Ricans because we're U.S. citizens.
Exactly.
Was the end of the joke, and that was the part that sometimes people get like, they get really butthurt, but it was funny to me because it was like, it's kind of true sometimes. You catch a lot of shit and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's always division, which I don't understand, and I don't really like, because I don't get it. I mean, we're all in the same boat.
For sure.
Some are in a better situation than others, but we got to help each other.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Help each other.
So before we get off what we're talking about here, let's get off what we're talking about here. Let's talk about some of the things that you've been able to do in playing drums and stuff like that, and being able. And I know, I don't know if you're still playing with Giggle Juice, or are you playing once in a while?
Actually, I'm still. I mean, we're still a band. Giggle Juice is still a band.
But obviously, pandemic.
Obviously with the pandemic and the stuff, we've been on the lowdown. But we played a couple places already after the pandemic. I've done stuff with other people on the side, probably playing drums and recordings and stuff like that. But yeah, we're still around. We're still around. I plan to eventually, I don't know, do gig a lot more, once the dust settles on all this mess. But we'll see. Stay tuned.
That's for sure. So I guess really the only question I have left is, what do you think, and this is kind of like a hard question to pose because I'm trying to focus in on what I want to ask, because this is like, and I don't know if both of you realize, but this means a lot to me that both of you are just here talking with me about music. Cool. Because I think it's the thing that, no matter what our situation is, no matter what we go through, I feel like it's the thing that's connected us as a family all together in every aspect and in every way. And Grandma is that glue. She kind of stuck us together, if you will, when you think about everything that we've come to be. And I remember just thinking myself as getting an opportunity to become a vocalist and thinking, would my grandmother be proud of me being a singer? Now, I did let her listen to a band that I was in a year, I want to say 2011 was when I let her hear. And I just remember her face, and it was just like,
yeah.
there's something here. And she's just like, and then it started singing in it from screaming. And she just looked at me. She's like, oh, that's good. Like, yeah, that's good. Like, she looked at me like, yeah, that's awesome. But the yelling and the screaming part, she didn't look too amped or thrilled about it. But it still made me feel good that she got a chance to actually hear what I was doing musically. What do you feel like is Grandma's legacy when it comes to the music that you've done, her being a celebrity on the island? And do you feel like maybe she wanted to do more than what she had done already? Or do you feel like she was happy where she was?
I think
it's a hypothetical. I know
she could have done more than what she did, but I feel that. But she was content with what she did. You know, she wasn't like what do you call it when you want to become like a celebrity.
Yeah.
I don't think she was like that.
Like
know?
She was hungry for success, bigger success.
I don't think she was like that. Really, you know,
that,
and then she recorded some stuff for her religion, and she did a couple of albums for that. You know, but she wasn't like you know, I don't know. She was down to earth. You know,
very.
And she was cool. She was cool with whatever, you know, and she wasn't going crazy.
You have to remember, you know, what you said before about the music when Grandma heard it. You know, you have to remember that when we were kids and we were listening to AC/DC, people thought we were crazy, especially where we used to live because it was in the country.
Yeah,
and we the gringos over there, you know, because we listened to rock music and we're the child of the devil. And I mean, I love your music. I can listen to your music, but probably your son is going to be listening to something, I don't know,
even crazier,
whatever. Bloodbath rock.
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, in my household, my daughter, even though she doesn't understand it, the Korean pop thing has kind of hit our house. So like the BTS, and there's a bunch of other numbered groups that I can't even remember right now.
Julio's daughter is big into that damn music.
Yeah, K-pop is definitely huge in my household. That and I noticed with my wife, it's like I said, that abstract, mean indie girl kind of stuff where it's almost pop music, but you know, there's like subject matter there that's just, you know, maybe not too happy with men. I mean, to each his own, you know. I'm sure, you know, like I listen to a wide array of different metal things, whether it's something political, something scary or mythical, you know, like.
Gotcha.
I mean, shoot, I can think of how many times I recently had to drive my mom home one day, and I was listening to a band, Lorna Shore, and they have this part that reminds me of, you've seen Lord of the Rings, right?
Yeah.
You ever seen the part where like the orcs are coming out of like the mountain or whatever the case is? Well, this guy does a sound that sounds like these fucking orcs just escaping Middle Earth. And I just remember the look on her face, and she was like, okay.
That's it.
She's just like, okay, like, what's this? But I don't know. I get where you're coming from. You know, like it's always going to be a different change. It's always going to be the same. You know, I do kind of wish I got to the point where I'm at right now, where, you know, I'm a little bit more different of an artist than I was back then, where back then I was just like, I'm fucking mad. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to do some angry shit, you know, to kind of show her a difference. But I don't know. I do feel so much love when I listen to her music, and though I don't speak any Spanish, it's just nice to hear her voice, and it makes me feel like I'm still connected to her.
Yep.
You know, and it makes me emotional sometimes.
Yeah, makes me emotional too. I mean, there are times where I just want to hear, because, you know, she's gone, you know, but I just want to feel her around, so I play her music in the car, at home, you know, and it's a way. I mean, I think of her every day,
of course,
obviously, but there's sometimes like, you know, like. Sometimes I need advice. I need whatever, you know. It's like, okay, Mom, you know, I play your music and blast it and whatever, and on my own. So
you never forget about, you know, the family that you lose, like our brother Tito. You know, we lost that. He was like 17, 18.
Not 19.
19.
He was 19.
And I can never forget him. It's like it happened yesterday.
Mm-hmm. And our brother Tito was also in a band. He played drums. He plays sax. Yeah.
I have a sax at home.
You have it? I thought it was gone.
I have it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. See?
Yeah, discovering stuff on the podcast.
See?
You have the sax. Wow.
I have his sax.
You have his sax?
So this is absolutely hilarious because there's a band currently that I'm listening to that does the style of music I do. And at the end of the song, there's a sax part. And for whatever reason, I'm absolutely in love with that part. It's like the best part of the song is amazing, but the best part of the song is that sax part. And my wife hates it. She's just like, this is annoying. But for whatever reason, I'm like, this is great. I don't know why we don't have more metal bands that have sax parts.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because when I was a kid, like I wouldn't think like trumpets and sax and things like that weren't part of rock music.
Yeah.
If you work with it, you do it. You do it the right way. You can integrate it into it.
Well, see, there's this, and we're going off on a tangent here. We're trying to wrap up, but there's this style currently. Called wavecore, but to me, what it sounds like is you're getting vocalists who do R&B style vocals over metal. And to me, it's where I live. Like I love 90s R&B music. It's what I grew up on. And then just throw metal in there. We're using these harmonies that sound like from R&B music and then putting it together with metal. And it's like the perfect marriage. So like, I don't know, I love shit like that. I love that experimental side of what metal can be sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but no, for Grandma, whenever I listen to her music, and I usually find myself listening to her on like a tough day or Christmas. I don't know why Christmas, but Christmas, I want to hear her on Christmas, Yeah,
you associate Grandma with Christmas because she used to travel here most of the time on Christmas. That's why.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I didn't know that. I couldn't, I can't remember that far back, but, I know... I know, like, definitely there was a lot of things that she did for us, especially on Christmas. I know that too, but yeah, man. Sorry, I'm trying not to be like super emotional right now, but it's nice to talk.
It brings back memories.
Yeah, for sure.
It definitely does.
Because I got to, towards the end of 2011, I got to spend a really good special time with her. And, even though I was quote unquote her driver, I loved it. Every minute of spending it with her.
Driving Miss Julia.
Yes. And she's the reason why Julian got his name, was because I couldn't think of anything more special in my life than my grandmother, So that's why, Julian ended up with his name. And I feel in some ways he's a representation of her spirit, because he's... Grandma, besides music, Grandma was funny too. Like you guys, you guys are always funny.
She was hysterical.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh yeah, no, oh man, and I remember one time, I'm not going to mention the person's name, but she made fun of Julio for being on his mom, like kind of like almost in his lap, and he's in his 30s, on his mom.
Like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I used to, cuddle up with my mom, and and I was like in my 40s, and she was.
But this was almost like, this is my baby kind of deal.
Like any other people will look at it weird.
Yeah.
But it's like a moment that you have with your mother.
Exactly, because you love her, and you like it's Grandma had a lot of love to give, and Grandma gave a lot of love.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I even in certain aspects of my life, I remember her just being the constant connection to this side of the family, whether it's a phone call or whether it was just kind of checking in to make sure we were good for whatever holiday or the school year, or whatever the case is. I remember my first calculator came from Grandma. So I had a Texas Instruments. It was the first super cool. I thought this was the coolest thing ever.
I remember. I got one too. I remember.
Supercomputer, the 80s.
But I just want to thank you guys for coming on and talking music with me, talking about our connection to it. This literally, I've interviewed great artists that I've been super fans with, but this was like the best experience because it's just reminds me why we are family, why we are connected, and what it means to me to still be connected to you guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And, you know, rest in peace, Grandma. I love you. I miss you. We miss you. You know, the world misses you.
Yeah.
For real.
Everybody that knew her.
That's sure.
They miss her.
For sure. All right, guys.